will be joining us via video link from Kakamega. A look at the dailies this morning. On the Standard, unfinished business, 200 days to polls day. This one just looks at the timelines that we need to take a look at and keep in mind as we head towards the August 9th date. Today, January 9th, is exactly 7 months to polling day. And in 3 months or so, party primaries must be held. Kenya is on the home stretch. And we take stock of what key actors must do to ensure successful elections. This is part of what we'll be looking at today and in subsequent episodes of Inside Politics, so keep it here. Also, the Daily Nation, Linturi spoils Ruto's party. It is one of the biggest stories this morning, and we'll be starting with that as well. Of course, happenings within the National Assembly and the expectations at the Senate this coming week will also feature. So let's kick off now. Detectives this morning arrested Meru Senator Linturi over remarks he made at a UDA rally in Eldoret yesterday. Linturi was picked up by police early today from a hotel within the town. The arrest follows a directive issued by the Director of Public Prosecutions, who intends to have the senator charged in court over potentially inflammatory remarks he made during the political event in Eldoret, which was attended by Deputy President William Ruto.
No, right now it's still very fresh.
Nanyi mnashangaa hii mdomo ni mbaya. Unajua? Ama kujitetea siko mbaya. Kujitetea ni huko ndani. Hapo unaongea tu yenye
and I'm also aware that the direction given to Inspector General by the DPP is that they need to investigate the matter and forward the file to him. So I think part of what we are going to do is the process of investigation, because I don't think they can carry in investigations without first recording a statement, and I hope they will be genuine enough in disclosing the actual thing that we are going to do, because what they are telling me is that we are going to Nakuru Police Headquarters to record a statement. So that's why I'm wending to, and I think I'll comply with the law on the invitation by the police officers, and I think we won't be able to get out of it. Hope this is not an IT squad, which we are used to, right? So, but let the public know I'm already in the hands, and that's why we are ended to. I may have been misquoted or been misunderstood, but anybody that really understands that that was a UDA rally, and what I meant was that those people that are not followers of UDA should be rejected by the Washington issue voters. That was what I meant. I am not a warlord. I am not a warmonger. You know, I'm peace-loving and I preach peace. I have no record for preaching violence. You understand?
Yes, indeed. We had planned to discuss a lot more, but definitely this one cannot escape our attention. Let me introduce my panelist, Dismas Mukua, political risk analyst. Happy New Year. It's good to have you in studio.
Happy New Year.
And I'm sure you're ready to discuss a lot more. Hezbon Owila also joins us in studio as a media and communications expert. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too.
Yes. Wakili Ishmael Jaribo is also in studio with us. Wakili, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Wakili Kenyan Echesa is joining us via video link from Kakamega. Do we have Echesa with us? Yes, Wakili,
yes,
Happy New Year.
Fred, Happy New Year.
Karibu sana.
Happy New Year to you, my brother.
Yes, thank you. It's good to have you all gentlemen on this session. And of course, we have to start, unfortunately, with that piece of news because and this will inform a lot even in terms of our own behavior and how far we need to exercise restraint in the kind of comments we make as we head closer to the elections. And definitely, yes, the senator there will get to defend himself, will get to clarify what he meant, but there's something that needs to be said about the kind of remarks being said 7 months to the election, given the fact that we understand our previous history with elections, the kind of issues that we've faced previously, kind of some of the issues that we don't need to experience again. Dismas, and I would urge all of us here to exercise that kind of restraint to avoid this kind of mishaps. So there are some words I'm really hoping not to hear on this panel, which I do not need to repeat again. But definitely something has to be said in as far as our conduct and the conduct of politicians and anyone else making political statements from now henceforth. Dismas.
Well, Senator Linturi made some inflammatory remarks, and most sane Kenyans cannot repeat or dare say those remarks in public because of the political and anthropological context. There are some of these words, when you utter them in a particular environment, they may, if you look at the dictionary meaning, it may be plain and innocent looking, but for people who have previously suffered because of those remarks, because of those statements, then it becomes unacceptable. And when you're looking at Senator Linturi, he's not a rookie politician. He's not just a recruit politician. He's been around the block for a long time. And it's appalling that right now he has just said that either he was misunderstood or he was misquoted. People who are watching these proceedings saw the proceedings live. There's no opportunity for him to be misquoted. There's no opportunity for him to be misunderstood. So it's incumbent on our political leaders, especially the ones who've got political capital and have got influence in society, to be very careful on the utterances, on the statements they make, because a simple statement like what Linturi has made could be even a turning point on a DP's campaign, because all of a sudden, people who've held the DP in high regard, all of a sudden they'll sit back and say, wait a minute, is this what this campaign is all about?
And then the Sunday Nation captures that on the headline, Linturi spoils Ruto's party. It was definitely a big day for the deputy president. He got blessings from that region. They prayed for him. They released him to go seek the bigger post. As a media and communications expert has borne, definitely this changed the game. This watered down a lot of what would have been considered a huge day for the deputy president.
Well, it did. And it's very unfortunate that instead of talking about the substantive issues that the deputy president and his people raised, in this very significant political rally, we're talking about what Senator Linturi said. And I think for me, that raises serious questions, because then the public is denied the opportunity to interrogate the deputy president and his candidature. And just, we are beginning to talk about non-issues that are very critical because of the emotions that they raise. But I think from where I sit, I don't think this was a goof as such, because just like Dismas has said, I mean, this is an experienced politician. He's had bigger crowds like this. He's been in this game for quite a long time. He knows that these words have been, singled out as very inflammatory. They've been discussed even in the ICJ, International Court at The Hague. And I think to a large extent, you can have three interpretations of what happened. One, there is a high likelihood that there were talking points, and UDA just decided that there are things we'll have to raise. We have to raise this issue for three simple reasons. That one, that there are political leaders, just like he said, who don't seem to be supporting, the regional kingpin from the Rift Valley region. And to a large extent, you'd say that maybe that is what Senator Linturi meant, that if there are leaders here who are not supporting the deputy president, and some of us are from other regions and we're supporting the deputy president, then we need to use the vote and get rid of these leaders. That is one interpretation. And you see politicians, are very clever. They would want to send messages that can be interpreted differently, so that they hang on one interpretation and say that this is what we meant. And I think he'll hang on that. But then there's the second interpretation, that chances are they just wanted to raise emotions and remind voters that if you don't vote in a particular way, these are the things.
And I'm very hesitant for us to take that.
Yes, I'm hesitant to talk about that because I think it's a reality, and voters have since come of age, and that's why politicians would want to send these polemical messages. But you cannot rule out the fact that probably that was one of the undertones. Okay. And then number three, maybe he was just excited. I mean, even with this experience, there is a sense in which such a big crowd can excite a politician and they get a bit emotional. And I'm hesitant to believe that it is a question of excitement, because he's a very experienced politician who knows what he does. And I think even before these politicians speak, they agree on the talking points, who is going to say what.
Yes.
But I would say that this is a very unfortunate situation, and it is denying Kenyans, not just the deputy president, an opportunity to tell Kenyans what he stands for, but it is denying Kenyans an opportunity to interrogate the more substantive issues.
Yeah. Wakili Nyaribo, of course, this is a kind of risk that any aspirant or the top aspirants for the top job in Kenya runs. The fact that you may not be able to control everyone who speaks at the podium at your event, and some of them might get uncontrollable or say something that could actually dilute a lot of what you may say. Don't you think that 7 months to the elections, people need to be extra, or the campaign teams need to be extra careful on the kind of people they even choose, or the kind of talking points they decide on before people actually get to the microphone? Wakili Nyaribo, I'm not certain you heard me.
I can hear you.
Yes. My question is, the kind of reaction we are seeing now, and the fact that a very big event was watered down by someone, one simple comment by one of the many, just one of the many people who got to speak at that event.
Yes.
7 months to the election, don't you think that it is high time that these campaigns from the different people, because it's a risk that could be common across the board,
yes,
that people need to be careful with the kind of individuals we choose, or they choose to speak at their events, and the kind of talking points when it comes to such events?
Yes. Are you hearing me, Fred?
Yes, I can hear you very
Okay.
clearly.
You see, yes, it is true that the secretariats, the campaign teams must be extremely careful. But Fred, you know, this was Linturi. He's a senator, and William Ruto is deputy president, and Linturi was not the first person to speak such words. So I think that the campaign teams must make a decision firmly and cooperate with other agencies to ensure that there are certain phrases and words which cannot actually be uttered at all. If you remember William Ruto in another campaign trail, a young man came up and said, Vijana Ria. You know, he's just an ordinary person who was actually using kind of Azimio phrase in William Ruto's presence. Everybody will forgive such a person. But how do you forgive leaders who people look up to when they utter reckless statements in public? I think that is something that the campaign teams and the secretariats must, not only for UDA, but across the board, they must make sure it does not happen again.
Yes, Wakili Echesa, from your end, what do you think they could have done differently? As Wakili Nyaribo says, it is not very easy to control everyone who speaks there.
Thank you very much, Fred. First, I must state that Linturi's remarks were regretful, quite unfortunate, and I want to urge politicians to exercise restraint at this hour when we are going into very highly political times. And I want to say that we can do these things differently. Politicians must first vet what they're going to release to the public. They must go through the statement and carry a message. And perhaps it is high time we avoid having every politician speak in a particular function. I do remember when Raila was having Azimio in Kakamega, it was agreed in principle that very few politicians will speak, and they even had to share amongst themselves which politician is going to address which issue. But Linturi's statement yesterday spoiled what had appeared like a very successful takeoff from the rift. There is what Linturi said, there is what Linturi is understood to have said, and there is what Linturi intended to say. What is more important is what Linturi was understood to have said. And he was understood by the public and many of us as having incited a particular community against others who may perhaps vote in a different direction. Even the choice of venue, the use of the phrase that he used in the Rift Valley is unacceptable. The same phrase may not make much impact in Siaya or in Homa Bay places that are ruled by one tribal community. But when you use it in a cosmopolitan place like Uasin Gishu, it becomes very dangerous. So the party leaders, the presidential aspirants must make an effort to tame their lieutenants, especially when it comes to addressing public rallies. Otherwise, Linturi has taken Ruto 3 steps backward in a function that was to take William Ruto 2 steps forward.
Thank you so much, Wakili. And I would want to urge my panelists that we leave that matter to rest. The senator is in police custody, and of course the authorities will deal with that issue. It's being investigated as directed by the Director of Public Prosecutions, and of course after those investigations are complete, hopefully the matter will be taken to court, and let's leave it there.
One thing we need to give credit to the team is that the Deputy President actually came out clearly and disassociated himself with those statements and made it clear that any Kenyan is free to go to any part of this country and look for votes. Yes. And actually encourage, the public that you should not discredit any politician without listening to them.
Yes.
That is actually credit to the Deputy President.
And of course he'll be given his space and time to actually clarify on his remarks, and hopefully this will be the end of that matter. The other big issue, and this is what we were intended to start with, this was the biggest discussion over the last 2 weeks, and it happened in Parliament, and now Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka has officially gazetted Tuesday's special sitting to deliberate on the Political Parties Amendment Bill 2021 that was recently passed by the National Assembly. The Senate House Business Committee held a meeting to deliberate on the issues to avoid scenarios that took place in the National Assembly. Let's watch this story by Daniel Karaoke to just paint a background on what is happening.
In a Gazette notice, Senate Speaker Ken Lusaka says the special sitting will kick off on Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. with afternoon sessions slated for 2:30 p.m. During the sittings, part of the business and what has been scheduled as first business of the House is the Political Parties Amendment Bill 2021 that has pitted Deputy President William Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga in a political showdown. After a back and forth, accusation and counter-accusations that left the National Assembly in chaos with members involved in blows, the Speaker of the Senate held a meeting of the House Business Committee as they seek to lay strategy to avoid the chaos and mishap witnessed in the National Assembly. Reports indicate that the members agreed to have an electronic voting system. Also, the HBC members agreed to have all the amendments consolidated before the bill is introduced in the House. With focus on the Senate Tuesday, the two sides are ready to battle it out to ensure they employ a strategy that will ensure a win.
I'll give the first opportunity to the Honorable Janet Ongera.
I oppose without thinking.
Political pundits say, just like in the National Assembly, in Senate the two teams will be seeking to show who has more numbers in the House. The Gazette notice maintained the House will dispense the business as highlighted in the Gazette notice. Focus shift to the special sittings.
We require a brave
Daniel Karaoke, KTN News.
Who will not run away when the seat becomes very hot, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, even as we await the Senate special seating this coming Tuesday, the questions we're asking is, what are the implications of this law, the coalition parties law, which was a main point of contention in the amendments to the Political Parties Act? How does this affect political strategies going forward, 7 months to the elections? Of course, taking note that some things could change at the Senate level. We'll be discussing this with my panelists after the break.